heart of the naval base, where the ocean stretched endlessly and the salt-laden wind whispered secrets of battles long past. Few expected courage to appear in such a quiet form. But courage, as history often proves, wears many faces. Tonight, on Epic Story Hub, we witness a story of bravery that stunned even the highest ranks of command. Her name was Captain Alara Voss. She was not a stranger to danger, yet she carried herself with an unassuming calm, the kind of presence that blended seamlessly into a world built on discipline and orders. Her uniform bore the marks of service, but nothing could prepare anyone for what lay beneath. The day had begun like any other, with drills, inspections, and the ceaseless hum of activity that filled the naval base. But an urgent summons had arrived for the Admiral himself. Something about this summons had made even seasoned officers uneasy. When Alara entered the briefing room, the air seemed to shift, carrying a weight that pressed against everyone's shoulders. She stood tall, yet her posture betrayed the ordeal she had endured. Her sleeves were rolled up slightly, revealing forearms marred by scratches, burns, and faint bruises that told tales words never could. But it wasn't just the visible wounds. Her eyes carried the fatigue and pain of someone who had faced danger head-on and survived against impossible odds. The Admiral, a man whose gaze had hardened over decades of service, studied her closely. His reputation for composure was legendary, yet even he seemed unsettled. "Captain Voss," he began, his voice steady but tinged with curiosity. "Report." Alara's voice was calm, almost eerily so as she recounted the mission. It had been a covert operation in a hostile zone, designed to intercept an arms shipment that threatened countless lives. The enemy had been well prepared, the terrain unforgiving, and the operation fraught with danger. Yet through meticulous planning, courage, and sheer determination, she had led her team to success. As she spoke, the Admiral's eyes drifted to her arms again. He noticed the deep scratches, the burn marks from the ship's engines, the faint traces of old bruises that hinted at struggles she had faced alone. And then she did something unexpected. She lifted her sleeve fully, exposing the full extent of her injuries. The room fell silent. The officers present, accustomed to hearing reports of heroism, were unprepared for the raw reality of what they were seeing. The Admiral's expression shifted from curiosity to shock. His eyes widened as he took in the wounds, each one a testament to the trials she had faced and the perils she had endured. These are from the operation?" he whispered almost to himself. Alara nodded. "Yes, sir. Every mark tells a story of what happened out there. Every scratch, every burn, every bruise. It represents a decision made, a risk taken, a life saved." There was a pause, the kind of silence that presses against the chest. In that moment, the room seemed to shrink, the weight of bravery and sacrifice pressing down on everyone present. The officers had trained for scenarios, simulations, and reports, but nothing could replicate the stark reality of seeing courage etched into flesh and spirit. The Admiral finally spoke, his voice reverent. "Captain, you've done more than duty. You've carried the burden of courage where few would dare tread. And you've done it without complaint, without seeking recognition." Alara's lips pressed into a thin line. She was not there for praise. She was there because duty demanded it, and she had fulfilled it to the utmost limit. Yet even as she stood quietly, a part of her felt the gravity of the Admiral's words, the rare acknowledgement that only comes when one has truly witnessed sacrifice. Outside the briefing room, whispers began to spread. Officers who had once considered themselves hardened by duty found themselves reflecting on their own limits, comparing their challenges with the ordeal of Captain Voss. Conversations shifted from strategy to respect, from procedure to humanity. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the ocean in shades of gold and crimson, the Admiral requested a private meeting with her. The room was quiet, the hum of the base distant, almost irrelevant. "Captain Voss," he began, "I have seen many reports in my time, many stories of bravery and courage, but few have ever brought the reality of sacrifice so vividly into a room. You've reminded us all of what service truly demands." Alara remained composed, but inside a flicker of emotion stirred. Recognition from someone like the Admiral was rare, and it carried weight she had never sought but now deeply felt. The Admiral continued, "Your wounds are not just marks on your body, they are symbols. Symbols of leadership, bravery, and the burden of responsibility. And for that you have my respect and my salute." He raised his hand in a salute that was more than protocol. It was acknowledgement of sacrifice, skill, and unwavering dedication. In the silent exchange that followed, the unspoken understanding passed between them. Some actions transcend orders, some courage transcends recognition, and some heroes leave an imprint on the soul of a service that will not be forgotten. Ilara lowered her gaze slightly, the weight of the moment settling in. She had shown her wounds, not for praise, not for attention, but to convey the reality of the mission, the human cost of duty, and the courage it demanded. And in doing so, she had earned the respect of one of the most disciplined, commanding figures in naval history. That night, as the base quieted and stars shimmered over the ocean, Captain Voss reflected on her journey. Each scar was a story, each bruise a lesson, and each mark a reminder that true bravery is often silent, unseen, and uncelebrated, until the moment comes when it cannot be ignored. The night after the briefing, the Admiral sat alone in his office reviewing reports. Yet his mind lingered on the image of Captain Ilara Voss. Her wounds, her composure, and the quiet courage that radiated from her presence refused to leave his thoughts. He had seen soldiers endure hardship. He had witnessed missions gone awry. Yet something about Ilara's resilience and selflessness set her apart. The following morning, he summoned her privately. The room was quiet, only the soft hum of air conditioning and the distant sound of waves breaking against the pier. He gestured for her to sit. "Captain," he began, voice steady but carrying weight, "I want you to tell me everything. Not just the mission, but the moments that led to these wounds. I want the truth of your experience." Ilara's expression remained calm. She had prepared for debriefs, for inquiries, but this was different. This was personal. Taking a deep breath, she began. The mission had been clandestine. Intelligence had intercepted plans for a dangerous shipment, one that could arm hostile factions and destabilize the region. Ilara and her team were tasked with intercepting the cargo at sea, a mission complicated by treacherous waters, hostile patrols, and the constant threat of ambush. She detailed how she had led her team through narrow channels, under the cover of darkness, evading radar and patrols. When the enemy vessel was finally within striking distance, a firefight erupted. Explosions rocked the small boat, fires broke out, and smoke filled the air, stinging eyes and choking lungs. Ilara's burns had come from a fuel leak igniting near the deck, and the deep scratches from fighting off boarding parties. Every bruise, every cut told the story of split-second decisions that saved lives. The Admiral listened intently, occasionally nodding, sometimes closing his eyes as he absorbed the full magnitude of the operation. When she finished, the room was silent except for the distant hum of the base. "Captain Voss," he said finally, voice heavy with emotion, "the courage you've displayed, it goes beyond what words can capture. Many would have faltered, many would have succumbed to fear. But you, through intellect, training, and sheer will, led your team to success while sustaining these injuries. You've exemplified leadership in its truest form." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Then slowly, deliberately, he raised his hand in a salute. Not the routine gesture of command, but one that carried deep respect, recognition, and the understanding of someone who had truly seen bravery in action. Ilara lowered her gaze, her mind replaying the events of the mission. She had not shown her wounds for accolades or acknowledgement. She had done it to convey the reality of the mission, the stakes involved, and the sacrifices made. But the Admiral's salute was different. It was an affirmation that her courage had been recognized by someone who understood the depth of risk, the human cost, and the leadership required to overcome it. Over the following weeks, her story spread quietly throughout the base. Officers shared the tale of the captain who had returned from a harrowing mission, scars visible yet bearing no complaint, and had earned the salute of the Admiral himself. The story became a symbol, a lesson for all. Bravery is not measured by medals or ranks, but by actions, decisions, and integrity in the face of danger. But there was more. Intelligence revealed that Ilara's mission had intercepted a shipment that could have shifted the balance in a volatile region. Her actions had prevented not only immediate harm, but potentially global consequences. The weight of her bravery extended beyond the base, beyond the military hierarchy, into the realm of international security. Ilara herself remained humble. She returned to her duties, tending to her team, mentoring younger officers, and ensuring that missions were conducted with precision and care. She spoke little of her wounds and never sought recognition. Yet her presence inspired confidence, respect, and quiet admiration from those around her. One evening, the Admiral visited her quarters personally, not as a superior, but as someone who had witnessed the depth of her courage. "Captain Voss," he said, "your wounds tell a story that should never be forgotten, not because of the pain endured, but because of the lives protected, the missions accomplished, and the example you've set for everyone here." Ilara smiled faintly, understanding the rare significance of the moment. She had shown her wounds, faced scrutiny, and revealed the truth of her bravery. And in return, she had received acknowledgement not through awards or ceremony, but through the silent, powerful gesture of respect from a man who had seen the weight of leadership and courage firsthand. As the sun set over the base, casting golden light across the water, the Admiral's salute became a symbol, a testament to the idea that courage, integrity, and sacrifice can transcend rank, protocol, and expectation. And Captain Ilara Voss, with her quiet strength and visible scars, had shown the world that true heroism often speaks in silence, but its echo resonates across oceans, through hearts, and into history itself. Her story, preserved on Epic Story Hub, remains a cinematic journey into the reality of bravery, where wounds are not weaknesses, and respect is earned through deeds that few dare to undertake.